collecting sea salt here, fresh and awesome. Now friends, for instance, I'm pretty sure you can see those, in those brown containers, there is some of the salt they just picked this morning. Just a small portion of it, but they're picking every day.
Sea salt.
There you go, yeah. Now, ladies and gentlemen, and this is something that since we are here, I mean not now, but on the way back, if you are interested, because we have the time, if you're interested, on the way back, on the way to the next stage, we can make a quick stop if you want to buy some fresh sea salt. If you want, if the group agrees, if you're like, okay Maria, we can stop like 5 minutes or so, so you can get it. Because it's literally from the ocean to your hands. Yes sir. Besides our friend Fido over there, honestly, people here is very honest. And they're like, you know what? Like I said, very safe place. Yesterday we were going. Yes, for some reason people is very respectful. Like, hey, on the contrary, we got each other's back. Yesterday we were going to this village, and this lady was very surprised that many of the houses had the doors wide open, and they were like, really? Safe place. People is not scared. We trust each other. We trust our neighbors. Our neighbors keeps an eye on things all the time. So, which one? Sorry. Like I said, yes, it used to extend all the way here. Now, friends, we are a few steps away from our first stop. We're actually at the place. When my friend Jorge stops the bus, like I said, I strongly recommend you to leave your backpacks and belongings here. Of course, bring your cell phone, camera, something like that, because definitely you want to take a lot of pictures. As you leave the bus, my friend Jorge is going to give you, each one of you, a bottle of water, because it's important to be hydrated. It's expected to be a hot day, so, you know, better safe than sorry. And in case you're like, okay Mario, I really need to use the restroom, but I'm not doing it on the bus. Okay, there is a toilet next to the ticket booth. Okay, I'm gonna wait for you on the shade next to the ticket booth, and once everybody's ready, I'm gonna start with the main explanation. Like I said, I'm gonna give you a brief explanation of the highlights and the most important facts of that city, and then I'm gonna give you free time so you can explore the place. So if you're like, Mario, give me a moment, I'm taking a picture, please stay with me for a while, and once I'm done with the explanation, you can scatter and take as much pictures as you like. I mean, I know the Mayans were supposed to be short, but really? That looks ridiculous. Remember what I was telling you earlier, the part that Mayan being very tiny and short people. Before the 1980s, that's what we used to assume. Right now, with further research, we realize that actually the Mayans were not as short as first, not as short as the Spaniards were used to tell us, and also not all of the Mayans were short. The Mayan society, like I mentioned at the bottom, was split in two: high class and low class. And I know it for as ironically as it sounds, the high class was higher, the low class was smaller. How? Why? Kind of obvious. High class, better food, more nutrients. They develop higher, taller. Low class, not that much. Most of the time, the low class was, as a historian, one of my friends says, the low class was involuntarily vegetarian. Protein was for the high class. So if the Mayans were not that short, how come that entrance is like that? Because that entrance was not for everybody, just for a few. It's been said that this room behind me was a place for, let's call it like a sauna, like a steam bath. 2 kings go in privacy, sweating together, pretty sure drinking together. And that's how they resolve political arguments. King with king, nobody else around, nobody intervenes. They make their choices together in complete privacy. Next morning, in a public plaza, they're gonna make it look like the decision was taken at the moment, even though the decision was taken last night at the sauna. But as for the rest of the people, we just got an agreement now. And there is gonna be peace, or you know what, we're gonna kill each other tomorrow. Something like that. Friends, we're gonna go to that pyramid right in front of me, not the big one, but the small one next to it. I'm gonna continue the explanation over there, the last part of the explanation, and after that I'm gonna give you time for you to climb and explore. Because sometimes I take a couple of moments to explain that, and I see people taking a picture right inside it. Yeah,
right inside.
Get out of here there as soon as possible, please. Which leads me to the next subject. Mayans didn't believe in jails. That's one thing the Mayans had in common with the Aztecs. I know, for as weird as it sounds, but one thing that was inconceivable for both cultures is taking the freedom away of us. No, confinement, inconceivable. That's inhuman for the Mayans and for the Aztecs. So what did they do with their criminals? Two possible outcomes. Of course, for severe crimes, death penalty. For not so severe crimes, they were like, wait, what's the point in putting this person in confinement and then we feed this person